Hey guys, my name is Caleb Maffei, and this is how I made tonight. So basically, I started making the song because my buddy Josh called me up, and he's like, "Hey, like, my church needs a new intro song for our live stream services." And I was like, "Cool, man! Like, I'm super hyped to do this. Like, definitely, I'll come make a song with you." As I started making the song, and it started getting, more instruments were added, more sounds were added. He kind of looked at me, and he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "This is turning into a pretty good song." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, man." That got me pretty excited. I was like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You shouldn't use it for my church." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why not?" And he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "It just sounds like it could be its own thing." And I was like, all right, cool. And eventually, I kept flushing the song out, adding this and that, and he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I could add some lyrics to this." And I was like, "Definitely, dude." I was like, "Definitely." I was like, "Go ahead and make, a couple of lines, and we'll go from there." So the song is in C major, pretty much. Like the first scale you learn. It's in 4/4. So what that means is that there's 4 beats in each little section of the song. If you were to break it up into sections, there'd be 4 beats. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the song is in 120 BPM, or beats per minute. That sounds like this. So I said that the song is in C major. So you're probably asking, what does that even mean? So this note C, that note is the note that the other notes revolve around. It sounds like home, this chord. So what I did was I got the chord D minor, right? D minor 7. So D minor 7 then goes to F major 7, to F6, and then to E minor 7, to G7, to G6. So it sounds like this together. So, interestingly enough, it never goes to C, which is this. It never goes there, but every note is in that C major major scale. So, yeah. So, for the main harmony, the chord progression, I was originally supposed to make it for Josh's church, so I figured I'd use a pad because he said he wanted the energy to build. I don't usually use pads, but this one sounded pretty nice. So it's just these chords that are repeated. And basically, I doubled them so that they're stronger. So if you're a producer, that's a good tip, is to like layer your tracks because it makes them stronger. But what I also did was I panned them. So if you don't know what panning means, if you're panning something to the left or to the right, it basically means that the sound is either coming from the left side or the right side. If you're wearing headphones, the left ear cup or the right ear cup. So that's what these two sound together layered. I'll turn off that click. So very dreamy. I really liked that sound. But what I did was I added a lot of effects to every sound that's here. So what I did for the pad was I added a reverb, an Ableton, a little bit of delay, and I EQ'd it. So I cut out the highs because I don't need highs for this section. And the first layer is panned 20 to the left, the other is panned 20 to the right. So when they come together, it's impactful on both sides. So typically when I make a song, I like to figure out the chords first, the chord progression, and then after that, I'll figure out, the bass pattern, or what the bass is playing, that really low rumbling sound. So so I'm not the best at figuring out bass patterns because I'm not a bass player. Maybe my brother Rafa can help me out with that next time, but I just chose to keep it simple. So basically it's just the root note playing. So like I said, I was playing D and then F, E, G, right? So that's all it is. It goes. And then it does a little run and then it goes back and just repeats over and over again. So for the bass, I use this sound. It's called rock electric bass. It sounded fine. I liked it. I put another EQ or EQ3. That's what Ableton has. I love using it. I cut out the highs basically, and then I kind of put the cutoff a little bit lower. I kind of figured, this song needs a little bit of energy. It's kind of like a little bit too mellow. So what I did for that was I added some guitar. And it's just like this electric guitar that Ableton has, but I'll play that melody for you. And it starts on E. So those notes are E, G, A, D, and C, and it's mostly just on E. Boom, 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 boom. So what that does is, since it's so syncopated, it kind of has like, this little extra spice that goes on top of the song, and I liked it. Josh was there while I was making the song, and he was like, you know what, you should add an electric guitar, a guitar solo. And I was like, that'd be cool. And then I made that. For the guitar, I used a sound called Guitar Palm Legacy, which basically sounds like a muted guitar, like a guitarist is muting it with their palm. So I added a delay to that, and then I EQ'd out the lows because I didn't need any lows for that section. And it seemed to have a lot of reverb already, so I just kind of kept it that way. So these are all the pitched elements together. After that, we've got the percussion, which is my favorite part. I am a drummer, so like making the drums is always the best part to me. So I've got this little MIDI keyboard. It's called the Minilab. The only MIDI keyboard I have, but it's really the only one I need, and I love it. So what I used was this sound in Ableton for a kick. It's called the 808 chord kick, which, if you know anything about drum machines, the 808 is like the most famous one. So that's all you need. It's a very common pattern, probably the most common kick pattern in all like Western music. It's called 4 on the floor because it's right, 4 beats. That's all you need. So the next part is the clap. I added the clap. You could add, you know, a snare or a clap, but I like using claps just because, you know, I'm used to hitting a snare so often. So a clap is kind of refreshing. Obviously on beats 2 and 4, so 1. After the claps, I added a hi-hat. So the hi-hat is on all the upbeats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so it kind of, it's on the parts that the kick drum is not, right? So that is not a kick drum, but you know. So so it's basically on all the upbeats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and what I did to all the drums was I EQ'd out the parts that I didn't need. So the hi-hats, you know, they're kind of higher pitched, so just EQ out the lows. For the kick, you do the opposite because the kick, you want that kind of beefy, bassy sound. A ride, what the ride does is it kind of adds some variation to your song, to your music, because if you're listening to a song for 2 or 3 minutes and you're hearing the same thing over and over again, you know, repetition, your listener gets bored. So I added this sound. So it's just, you know, something small, but it kind of goes under the radar, but, you know, subconsciously you're like, oh, you know, that sounds a little bit better. The next symbol that I added was a crash. It sounds like this, right? So as a drummer, you're used to adding that crash. They're those big, you know, like kind of circle looking things that are gold. So you hit that whenever the song changes or something new is added. It gets the energy going again. It's kind of like letting the listener know, oh, this is a different part of the song. The next part of the song that I added was something called a riser. You hear it a lot in like EDM music or you know, electronic music. It's just kind of that type of sound. So I use this one called an NCOM riser. Alright, so I like the way that sounded. It kind of matched the song. But I've never used one before, so I was a little skeptical. Sent it to my buddy Josh. He was like, you know what, it matches pretty well. So for the vocals, I knew that I wanted a girl to sing because typically they have higher registers. So I was thinking about who could do it, and I knew my sister Nyla could sing because she's been singing for like years in church. And that same night when I made the song, I went into her room. I was like, hey, like, I'm making this song, like, do you think you'd want to sing on it? And she was chill about it. She was like, yeah, sure. So I sent her the lyrics, and she sang them like right in front of me, and I thought she was a good fit for the song. So what I liked about her voice was that it could kind of cut through all the instruments, you know. And for recording, everything was recorded on this right here. It's a Shure SM58, you know, pretty standard microphone, nothing too flashy. And I used an interface called the Complete Audio, I think. Yeah, Complete Audio. And that's how I got the vocals done. So I got her voice, she sings everything, and then kind of the oh parts, that's her. But it's also me in the background. And I've never sang on anything before, so give me a break. But yeah, I was excited to have my sister on one of my songs. I'm not a master at mixing any vocals by any means, but it was kind of fun to mess around with the different, you know, sound effects that I could add to my sister or to our voices. So for the clips, you can see that it's kind of divided into sections here, and that is because that's like when the major notes are changed. So I had to tune each of these individual sections. It's not a bad thing, Natalie. Everyone needs tuning. But yeah, so I added reverb. I added a tuner to see where it was off. And then I EQ'd it, cut out the lows, and then I compressed them. So this is what her voice sounds like just by itself. Lord, I'm nothing without your mind. I need you in this fight. This is what she sounds like without reverb. without the channel EQ, and without compression.
Lord, I'm nothing without your might. I need you in this fight.
So what this tuner is doing is it's showing you, you know, when it's green, it's like spot on.
Nothing without your might.
But those little parts are where it's off. For this section, I did the same thing. But I layered them again, right? So one is panned 16 to the left, the other 16 to the right. And then you can hear me right here. I'm panned 8 to the right, but I'm quiet because I wanted to be low-key, so... Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but... Josh was like, you know what, you gotta add tonight, 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 tonight. And I was like, alright, Josh, but like, you know, it's not gonna be as prominent. And of course, when I sent him the song, he was like, oh, you should add more tonights. I didn't. But when you're listening to this, those vocal sections are the only two in the song. These tracks are the only two that are completely centered. So they're not panned at all, and that's to make them more upfront. Hi guys, so if you're still here, I want to say thank you so much for watching, for staying this long. And I'd like to invite you guys to, you know, go stream the song, go listen to it. I hope you guys like it. It's on, you know, Spotify, Apple, the basic platforms. And first off, I want to give thanks and glory to God, because without Him, none of this would be possible. So, you know, thank you, Jesus, and yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to Josh for, you know, helping me with the lyrics. Thank you to Natalie for being my voice, and thank you to Daniela for the artwork. Bye, guys.